I kind of think of Shelley as like the Justice League. Everyone talks about, Brindley Cannon, but they're kind of like the Justice League. They just have a nice set of characters that back them up.
When it comes to high school sports, East Idaho never gets its due.
I ran into Jeremy Hess, the AD of Grace Luther, and, he was just excited. And then, I'm just talking to him and he goes, we have 7 girls. So just amazing.
But the East Idaho Prepcast has changed that, covering the biggest sports stories from Salmon all the way down to Bear Lake.
And again, Grace is always that team just kind of lurking, like, yeah, there's Grace. They, they don't have social media, but you know what? They have footballs, they got grass, and they got pads, and they use all those very well.
It's the East Idaho Prepcast with Sean Kane on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome to another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, breaking down top stories from Districts 5 and 6 of Idaho high school athletics. My name is Joel Richardson, and I'm joined by the East Idaho expert and insider, just back from Boise, Idaho, Sean Kane. Sean, how was the Capital Classic, dude?
It was great. It was phenomenal. Weather was good. Great tennis. And just Idaho's best, really. I mean, you've got Idaho, you got a couple from Oregon, Washington, Hermiston is one of those teams out of state. We used to have Ogden used to come up every now and then. Other states, like we've talked about before, don't always play girls and boys at the same time, but sometimes those teams fill the team anyways. They just have kids come, which is kind of cool. But it was really, really good. It was a lot of fun and very tiring.
Yeah, I bet. But you look good, man. That camera is just taking away all the wrinkles, all the dark circles around your eyes. I'm the one with the dark circles. We'll talk more about the Capital Classic in just a little bit, Sean. Want to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by Ideal, a state-sponsored tax-advantaged savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising cost of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school, apprenticeship, or even student loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. So let's talk about the Capital Classic, Sean, as we get started. We always have our Player of the Week and Team of the Week. The Player of the Week this week is going to come from that Capital Classic tournament. Brimley Nelson from Hillcrest did an amazing job this past week. And tell us more about Brimley Nelson and her performance.
Hey, Brimley Nelson, only a sophomore. Last year only lost 1 match in the regular season, and at state she lost in the championship match. Phenomenal singles player for Hillcrest. She is just a really, really talented star here in East Idaho, and she goes up to Boise. All the Boise schools, 6A. Hillcrest we know is a 5A. She takes them all down in a road to what I would call is the hardest tournament you ever have to do. You have to win 4 matches in a day to win it. Wow. Against the best in Idaho. So every match is difficult on the second day. The first day, Friday's a round robin. You have a pod of 4. She went 3-0, and then she went 4-0 on Saturday. So that's 7 matches in the span of 2 days. And let me tell you, Joel, I mean, she takes down Centennial, and that player was close to a placer in 6A, then Bora, and then Eagle in the finals. So just a tremendous effort. And there's some tough opponent up north that she may have to face again here at state, but I mean, bring it on, bring the popcorn, because I can tell you, I think Lewiston was the only school that came down from up north, but there is no harder tournament to win, maybe in the Northwest, than the Capital Invite.
And, we've talked about this on the show in the past. With the weather in spring, you never know how much you're going to be able to play. I know in past, Coach Kane, you guys haven't played much before districts. This year, the weather has been pretty good here in East Idaho, but still, the West Idaho, they do get better weather generally, and so they still are playing more tennis. Even so, Brimley beating all those schools, all those players from those Boise schools.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, no matter what the weather is, they're playing in Boise before we are.
Right.
I feel confidently saying that, and I mean, hey, bring it. East Idaho continues to do big and great things, whatever the challenge is. It's a testament to, like we've said many times, our coaches, our players, our communities, and for just kind of a weird place, right? Southeast Idaho just really has a lot of good tennis. Like it's kind of crazy if you think about it. You wouldn't think driving through Pocatello, Blackfoot, Idaho Falls, all the way up to Sugar, Salem, that there's like this mecca of tennis, and we've got it. We've got people competing day in and day out for state titles and going on to do big things.
Right on. Well, congratulations to Brinley Nelson from Hillcrest, only a sophomore, taking the Capital Classic. Good for her. Sean, can you give us a bit more of a report about the Capital Classic while we're talking about it? Some of the better players, teams that perform well during that long weekend tournament.
Yeah, it's and it was kind of weird. They had an odd number of teams this year. It was 33. And from our area, we had Bonneville, Century, Hillcrest, Idaho Falls, Thunder Ridge, Skyline. Those are the schools from our area that competed. But then you've got all the 6A schools in Boise, and you have like a Middleton and a Parma. You have a little slice of everything tennis wise in Idaho. So it was like I said, it's the hardest, it's the biggest tournament in the Northwest I can think of, and it was just really good. I mean, overall, if we just kind of look at the ones at the top position, in boys singles, the best East Idaho person was Tyden Lin from Century.
Mm-hmm.
Gets to the court. He gets to the semi. He wins the quarter over Timberline Randy Lee, who took third in 6A last year. Tyden beats him, gets the semi. Unfortunately, the weather was too good for him.
Yeah.
He had a little bit of heat and hydration issue, and was unable to go in that semifinal. But could have had an opportunity to be in the final. So Tyden Lin had a phenomenal performance. Going 5-1 throughout that tournament is pretty good. We mentioned girls singles, boys doubles. Daniel and Liam McGee won the first round, lost the second round to a Boise team in an 8-10 third set tiebreaker. So that's as close as it can get, Joel, if you know tennis.
Yeah, right.
So one thing goes another way, they're into the next, but they competed with the top, 4 teams in the state, really, as far as doubles go. For girls doubles, the Idaho Falls girls went to the semis. Unfortunately, they lost there. They did really good. And here's a little interesting nugget for you. In mixed doubles, Shay Shippen and Grant Parker from Skyline make it to the final in mixed doubles, a team that was put together just as of like right now. They had both been playing singles, and they came in and played mixed, and they make it all the way to the final, lose the Eagle. And predominantly who wins these tournament wins state. It's pretty, unless the person isn't there. But if you win Capital, the likelihood of you winning state is extremely high. You've beaten everyone especially in the 6A level. I don't, pretty much it almost correlates almost every time, and depending if everyone comes and plays. This weekend falls on a lot of schools' proms, so that sometimes is an issue. But yeah, if you can do well and perform well at Capital, you usually perform well at state. It's pretty mirror-esque there.
Right on. And that's a testament to Shay Shippen and her partner, the athleticism and the ability to come together quickly and get to that final. That's super impressive. Maybe they can do something at state. And I think Shay was also the one of the Skylines. They do the kind of player of the week awards, and she was one of those players of the week. And I wasn't sure why, and that is why she was. She and her partner got all the way to the final. It's awesome.
Yeah. But get this, so they make it all the way to the final. But teams that have beaten that Skyline team are Madison, Lucy Barton, Dalen Andresen, and Century's Kate Spicer and Nate Romrell. So East Idaho is good. So you got
mixed.
Yeah, you've got teams that have beaten these teams and beaten each other and then went there. So you've got some got some talented teams in the mix arena here that should do well. But I'll tell you, the team from Eagle is it'll be hard pressed to anyone else to beat them. It was a solid team.
Yeah, you got a chance to see that team then play a few games.
Yeah, most of these players are ones I've watched or seen before. I keep a pretty good scouting report on things and follow it, and
gotcha.
That's what I'm kind of known for, is I know the landscape of who's good and what other coaches will call me and ask me things, and then I translated it to Idaho Sports, which tennis really wasn't very helpful for any of it, but I have it. So like, if you have to pull something, they can let me, they've got me. They've got me on the back burner.
Well, hey, we've highlighted this season, man. It's been great to do a little more tennis than probably ever, or not probably, for sure ever has been done on the East Idaho Prepcast and all the Prepcasts on Idaho Sports. So that's the district, or that's the Capital District. The Capital Tournament, as described by Sean. Thanks for doing that, Sean. And then districts are coming up next week. And then after that, state. Sean, the title of the show is April is over. Just like that, we are into district play across all sports, including tennis. So good luck to all the tennis players moving on as they do district play, and hopefully get some wins and get to that state tournament. Sean, for our listeners, where is the state tournament this year?
State tournament for tennis is always in Boise. It's one of those things that probably someone will write an article about, is why is these always held there? I mean, other places could host one category, but no place could hold all three divisions. Boise can, and so that's why they do it there, is They want to get it all done in one place. Yeah.
All right. That's I guess that's fair. But yeah, someone should write an article about that and discuss that. Okay, so we did Player of the Week, Sean. We got in our Capital invite discussion for S. Kane's tennis time. Let's go back to softball actually, and discuss our team of the week, and then from there we'll discuss some more softball in general. Sean, as we're looking at our team of the week for tonight's Prepcast, we had to go with someone who we haven't talked about all spring. And frankly, there hasn't been a lot of love for this school throughout this school year. We kind of hit them with soccer, maybe football as kind of a sneaker team, but nothing ever really played out. But finally, we get to really highlight them. Thunder Ridge High School softball girls are on a tear right now, 10-game win streak, and completely annihilating their competition in conference play, 8-0, 15-4 overall. Thunder Ridge softball is our team of the week. What else do you got in Thunder Ridge softball?
Hey, Thunder Ridge had a couple of pretty high profile pitchers last year, and we talked about them a lot. And yeah, like you said, we haven't talked to them very much now, but on the 10-game winning streak, 8-0 in conference. We talked about some other teams earlier, Rigby, Madison, Highland, all kind of in a resurgence. But now, hey, look, Thunder is in the driver's seat right now, 15-4 overall. Yeah. Playing really good statistically. You go look in their stats. They've got people doing all the things right. They have Zoe Song with 9 home runs, which I found very interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I don't know what a big number of home runs for softball is, but I feel like that's a lot. Just doing some things. Carly Jones earned run average is 1.24, and then Alex Bundy is 2.7. So they've got some pitchers right now. Carly Jones ranks 6th in the state with that earned run average. So they've got the players, and the players are doing the things what it takes to win right now. So Thunder Ridge softball is definitely a good team to emphasize this week as our team of the week.
Yeah, so congrats to Thunder Ridge softball, playing really, really well. And most of the time, Sean, we our players of the week, teams of the week, they do well after we have had a few hiccups. So sometimes the karma isn't totally transferring from our awards to the teams. But hopefully this is the good karma, and Thunder Ridge continues to do so well as they've shown the last 10 plus games. Sean, we got a comment from Sam Buffington, our friend up there in North Idaho, saying April's over. How? Sean, you probably can't answer that because you're just as stunned as I am.
I will answer it is typically the sun rotates around the earth and then days change. Yeah.
Okay. No, Sam, it's we were looking at preparing for the show and looking at different titles, and we had to include April's over because it has been a quick month, and frankly it's probably gone by as fast as it has because we've been outside more because the weather has been nice out here in East Idaho. More tennis, my boys are playing flag football. We're just getting outside in the yard and playing, and I feel like when that happens, days go by much quicker than when you're stuck inside watching the rain and the snow come down. With that, Sean, let's continue with softball. Softball districts, I believe the regular season is still this week and maybe ekes into next week a bit, and then we get into district play. Baseball is just a little bit of a head softball, so we'll talk about them in a little bit and talk about district tournament play and the new super regional. But with softball, we already have Thunder Ridge as one of the top teams right now in 6A out here in East Idaho. Let's talk about the other classifications really fast and just give a shout out to some of the top teams that we've been following this season. For 5A, Sean, we got Blackfoot and Pokey. We haven't talked much about Pokey, but they won it all last year, and they're starting to make some noise later on in this season. Interestingly enough, going back to Blackfoot in that 5A High Country Conference, after Blackfoot, they're in first. They're in the driver's seat. I think Hillcrest is second, and then you got Shelley, Bonneville, Skyline all tied for third place. Sean, tale as old as time, right? Up in the High Country Conference.
Yeah, and if you go to the ranking, right, who are the, and I was thinking about this for the other week, who are the top two teams in girls softball? Middleton and Pocatello.
Right.
Wow. Could that be a repeat of this winter? And then you look Blackfoot at 4, and then in the rankings you got 7, 8, 9, and 10, right? 7 Shelley, 8 Hillcrest, 9's Bonneville, and 10 Skyline. So in the rankings, you've got this chunk of District 6. You got District 5 at the top, and Blackfoot kind of in its own little area at 4.
Right.
So yeah, just it'll be really interesting to see how District 6 tournament goes, which we always talk about. But you've got these teams with basically similar records. I think you throw the records out the door, and it comes down to who can win a couple games in a row, right? Who's got the pitching that can keep going for a couple games.
Yeah, 100%. And then with that, we got 4A with Sugar and Preston. Sugar Salem, of course, doing great. And then Preston, we haven't talked much about them, but Preston softball really starting to make a push as well. They defeated Bear Lake recently, and now they're in the driver's seat in first place. We had Bear Lake as one of our teams of the week a few weeks back. But Preston, Bear Lake got them earlier in the season. Preston got them this time. On Idaho Sports, Sean, we have Preston as first place, and I'm not sure if that's just like a auto thing or if that's because Preston has right now they have the tiebreaker because of what is it called when you play the same teams, right? And you win, you beat those teams, but Bear Lake didn't. I'm not sure why Preston is right there in number 1, but on Idaho Sports, they're number 1, Bear Lake number 2. Preston defeated Bear Lake recently, so that's a pretty interesting development with Preston making a push. And then in 3A, you got North Fremont, and of course the Malad Lady Dragons doing work. But similar thing from 5A, you got North Fremont first place, and then after I think it was Ryrie and Salmon are tied for second, along with Declan and Wendell in that 3A Southeast Idaho Conference. They're also tied for second. So you got North Fremont, Ryrie, Salmon, Malad, Declan, Wendell, both those conferences in a tight race for that second slot. And as we know, you threw records at the window, but it's nice to have that home field advantage going into district play.
Yeah, and and again, top of 3A is Parma and Malad. It's got to be a lot of similar girls that were playing basketball,
right?
Playing softball, so we could have a couple repeats of championships. I'm getting ahead of myself, but wouldn't that be interesting? Parma, the number 1 ranked team, Malad, the number 2. You'd have a lot of parity there if they met up again.
Definitely. And you also, with Wendell's at number 5, North Fremont's number 7, Declo number 8. So again, plenty of East Idaho teams in that top 10. And then, and that's your top teams in softball. Again, Thunder Ridge, Blackfoot, Pokey. Watch out for Shelley, Bonneville Skyline for making a push. Sugar, Preston, North Fremont, Malad, Ryrie, Salmon, Declo, Wendell, all making that push. Not only for that top seed, but second and third seeds as well. All right, Sean. With that, let's do baseball, and let's talk about district tournament play because we got some games that have already happened today. We have some updates. We had in the High Country Conference 5A. We had Blackfoot, Shelley, Idaho Falls, Hillcrest. Sean, you got some scores for us in those opening round matchups.
Yeah, I didn't get scores. I just got who won.
Not scores, results. Yeah,
I just got who won. Hillcrest beat Idaho Falls. Blackfoot takes the win over Shelley. So yeah, just like that, spring sports starts, right? You get that district action. Of course, District 6 has to start early because it wouldn't be a District 6 tournament without something going on, something kind of crazy.
Definitely. So these games, so Blackfoot Shelley, Shelley won that game, right?
Blackfoot beat Shelley.
Okay, so Blackfoot won that game. So I think Blackfoot is now going to play. I think Blackfoot plays Bonneville in game 3, and that game 3 is tomorrow at 4 p.m. And then the Idaho Falls Hillcrest game, was that Hillcrest, Sean, or was that Idaho Falls?
Who won that one?
Hillcrest.
Won.
Okay, so Hillcrest was 5 seed, by the way. Idaho Falls was 4 seed. Hillcrest won that game, and so Hillcrest will play. Hillcrest will play Bonneville. Blackfoot will play Skyline. Skyline's number 2 seed. Bonneville's the 1 seed. So Bonneville will play Hillcrest, and Skyline will play Blackfoot. And winners of those games will go on to play in the championship, and they will be the district champion. Losers go to the bottom of the bracket, and they will be the winner of that bracket will be the district runner-up. Getting ahead of myself, though, Sean, with those results, what's going on? So we got this new super regional here in Idaho, which I think is really fun. It's very similar to those college super regionals. They're adopting that here in Idaho baseball. So with that, you'd have 4 separate regionals with 3 teams. But actually in 4A, it's going to be 2 teams at each site. So 4 winners of those separate regionals with 3 teams, they all advance to a smaller state tournament, and those winners will be the state champion. So it's all part of sort of state, Sean. It's like a massive play-in game. You know what I mean? Or a massive play-in tournament, and winners of those play-in tournaments will go on to the state championship, state tournament championship. 4 teams. And they will play for a champion, for that trophy, for the blue trophy. Most districts, actually most classifications get 1 to 2 bids, 1 to 2 auto bids, and then about 3 to 4 at-large bids, depending on the district. For example, 6A, districts 5 and 6, they get 2 bids. 5A High Country Conference gets 2 bids. 5A SCIC, of course, only gets 1 bid because you only have 2 or 3 teams, right? And then
all this is great because even if you don't win, you have a chance.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's the key to this. Even if you don't, something goes haywire, there's still a chance to get the best teams in there. That's what I'm highlighting or seeing when I hear all this.
Yeah, exactly. So you have your auto bids, and then you have 3 to 4 at-large bids. And again, this is to get into that play-in, that super regional with usually 4 teams. Again, 4A has 4 separate regionals with 3 teams. 4A has 2 teams. But yes, you're absolutely right. You get your auto bids, but then there's all these chances to get at-large bids if your district is loaded. Right, you still have a chance. So we're talking, Mountain Rivers, for example, Sugar, killing it. Dawson McAnally, a few weeks ago, he was your National Player of the Week amongst all high schools. That's insane. But still, a South Fremont can still get in with an at-large bid, versus a, let's say, I'm just thinking on the top of my head, like a Western Conference team, right? They get 2 auto bids because they're a massive conference. Again, I'm mixing classifications. I get that, but the example is still valid. A team who is stuck in a 3-team conference, if they're good enough, they will still get in to the super regional, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you get a chance. I think that's been a gripe for a lot of people in District 5.
Yeah, exactly.
or up north, District 1 and 2, or I think that's a legitimate gripe. And this way, at least in baseball, which again, just for listeners, baseball wasn't like sanctioned by the IHSA last year. This is the first year they've gotten involved in it, and that in itself is interesting. And I think it'll be interesting to see how these this regional play plays out, right? And
Right.
maybe there can be it shows that there are some better ways to manage having not only a good experience, because kids are still getting a tournament experience, but also then getting the best teams in that state arena.
Yeah. And then Sean, you got a little update for us. We had that play-in game. Now this is the district play-in game, not to confuse our listeners.
Yeah.
District play-in game to get into the district tournament. We had that today. This is again baseball, not softball. Thunder Ridge was playing Canyon Ridge in their District 5-6 play-in game to get into that district tournament play. Thunder Ridge takes Canyon Ridge 12-7.
Yep. Our good friend Travis Hobson, the AD of Thunder Ridge, updated me as I was looking at these playing games, and so Thunder Ridge now moves on to play Highland in that winter, and now they'll play a little 3-game series, which I always like these ones. I like these series.
Yeah, definitely.
Type ones. You have the playing game and a series, so that's going to be Highland, the number 1 seed, versus Thunder Ridge. We got 2 ridges in there. Yeah. And then the other best of 3 series is Madison versus Rigby. Mm-hmm. And then what I think it's interesting is you play the 3-game series, but then the championship is just 1 game. So it's kind of it's you got a little bit of everything. You got a series, and then you just have 1 game. And but if you win, like you're talking about, you host that super regional, which I think that could be key for some of these teams. Like I think that'd be pretty cool for Highland to host that super regional, right? New field, all that.
Yeah, definitely. Especially if you have to travel quite a bit of ways to get to that super regional. They're trying to north, south, east, west kind of thing. But you may have to travel a little bit for your regional. So I think it's still key. Maybe baseball doesn't have the same home field advantage that other sports might have when the fans are right on top of you. In baseball and football, there isn't a lot of seating room for visiting fans. But I think there's still some advantage to staying home, being in your own bed, getting a good night's rest with your family, whatever. The night before a game. So let's talk about some of the better teams, or some of the top teams that we're looking at going into district tournament play, as we've already had a few games happen today. We mentioned Highland. Highland will be playing Thunder Ridge. Madison's playing Rigby. I'm still thinking Highland and Madison are your favorites there, but again, district tournament play, you never know what might happen. And even if you make it to the championship, you are into the regional. So just get to that championship. If you're Rigby, be playing the underdog against Madison. But Highland, Madison, I think are your favorites there. And then for 5A High Country Conference, they get 2 bids. Bonneville Skyline I'm thinking are the favorites. Sean, any others that you would put in there?
I think Bonneville's really been the team to watch. Blackfoot again is also very good. What I've the lowdown on Blackfoot is they can score a bunch of runs if needed, and they're being third in that district is a little sneaky, because I think Bonneville and Skyline have been very good. Skyline has been, I think, underrated as a baseball team this year. Probably haven't talked about them enough and what they've done. They performed really well. So you always, I feel like anytime we do any sort of district things, we're always talking about Blackfoot being some sort of dark horse, but not really a dark horse. Just a team, you're going to have to play and you're going to have to win the game. They're not going to give it to you.
Yeah, definitely. And that 5A district tournament play, which for most sports they have this, it's double elimination. And so, your two teams that lost, Shelley and Idaho Falls, they'll play in game 5 and they'll have a chance to get back to that championship game and become a district runner up. And then they end up in they could end up in the super regional, but again, they would have to go through the losers of that top bracket. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that. Again, for 5A High Country Conference, games already happened today, and we got more tomorrow. Games 3, 4, and 5, and then May 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So throughout the rest of the week, we get some good baseball in the 5A High Country Conference. Let's look at for 5A SCIC. They get one bid. Their first game starts tomorrow, and then 4A Mountain Rivers. I mean, Sugar, we already talked a little about them, but Sugar, the likely champion there. Their game is until Friday, though, as they play South Fremont. But again, South Fremont, even if they lose, they can still get to that super regional based on max preps and the at-large bids.
Yeah, definitely Sugar a favorite to look there. Again, just those small conferences, you never quite know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And the same thing goes for 5A SCIC. One of those teams could, you lose to Pokey or Century, but you can still get to that super regional. And then 4A SCIC, they also only get one bid, and their tournament starts May 3rd is the first round of their district play. That's Saturday. 3A Nuke, they get two bids. Wednesday is their first round, and then 3A SCIC, they get two bids. Wednesday is their first round as well. Any teams from those 4A, 3A that you're looking at as your favorites going into district tournament play?
There's a lot of good teams. You kind of put me on the spot. We claim Wendell? Wendell's always kind of a team I think of too.
They're part of the Southeast Idaho Conference, even though they're all the way out there.
I don't know. Nothing jumps out to me, but that doesn't mean anything. What about you, Joel?
Yeah, no, I like Malad. They're obviously in the driver's seat in the Southeast Idaho Conference. They're 5-0 in conference play. Firth is 8-0 in conference play. But man, Chalice, Mackey, North Fremont. They're tied.
Chalice, Mackey. Yeah, that's always a team. The Chalice Mackey Riverhawks. We've seen some great pictures from their baseball field up there.
Great uniforms, great field.
So they usually host the wooden bat tournament. I don't know if they did that this year. We might have to contact Brandon on that one.
Definitely. But Chalice Mackey, and then they have players from Butte County who play on their team as well, and they're always dangerous. So they're 5-3. North Fremont 5-3. We talked about their team earlier in the baseball season, coached by Keith Director, who also does football, and he was bullish on their team. And they may not win it all, but they're going to turn some heads. And I think they have so far, as they're finishing the season 8-8 and then 5-3 in conference play. So they've stolen some good games and they lost some heartbreakers. So watch for North Fremont, I think, as a dark horse. But Firth in the driver's seat, 8-0 in conference play. And the Malad, I think, is my other favorite, along with, like you said, Wendell. Malad 5-0, Wendell 3-1 in conference play as well. And with that, districts right here, they're here today, tomorrow, end of the week. And we'll give our listeners next week more updates on the district play and then who's going to be in those super regionals. We should know who is in those super regionals, some of the teams at least, by next Monday's podcast. Anything else for baseball that you want to discuss, Sean? Any other teams you want to shout out?
Not really. It's crazy to think it's already we had district baseball games already, right? We already talked about that. It already happened. We got some live updates. I'm interested to see what happens in District 6 5A. I think that's going to be really good. I think Highland is also playing well in the 6A. And I feel like they might be able to get something done. And, they had a good year last year, bringing back a trophy. And I know Kristen Colonel, the head coach there, I saw him today actually, and give him a little bit of a shout out. He's been on the show before. He told us his incredible story of playing professional baseball. I don't know if you caught that, Joel, but
that was last year.
Yeah. So we got to give him, I saw him today. He called me a stud or something. So I guess I'll shout him out,
Right on. And hey, I am wearing my Century shirt today.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Hopefully Ryan
hey Ryan,
sends.
Ryan Frost. Here's
I
the
mean, it's not
shirts.
basketball, so I don't know if he's gonna
I know.
listen, but
Sorry. Hey, this is the only gear I've received. I'm still waiting for shirts, hats, rally towels. I'll just do whatever, man. Send me your
prices
stuff, East Idaho teams.
prices have went up, Joel. Man, there's not a lot of freebies anymore. I'm telling
I
you that
know,
much.
man. I know that, dude. I know that. All right. Before we head out, Sean, I want to talk about golf. We've had some really good updates from our friend Jake Landon, the head coach of Ryrie Golf. I was so thankful for his contributions to the show so far. So want to shout out Ryrie Golf, Jake Landon. They hosted at Jefferson Hills today, and they're actually going to host the district tournament May 5th. So that's next week. And he mentioned that today the Ryrie boys shot 351 total, won by 28 shots over Butte County. Chalice was third place, following Butte County. And then individually, Cody Landon of Ryrie, and then Parker Webster of Chalice, and Keaton Archibald. You've heard that name a few times from Butte County. They were 1, 2, and 3. So Cody Landon from Ryrie, Jake, Coach Landon wanted to make sure that we shouted him out for his stellar play on the green. And then on the girls' side, Chalice won today. Ryrie's been close to Chalice, but couldn't quite. But Chalice edged out Ryrie, scoring 389 and then 396 for Ryrie. So Ryrie was right there just by 7 strokes. Mackey girls came in third. We already mentioned Cody Landon. We already mentioned Butte County's Keaton Archibald. That dude, Sean, he does everything: football, basketball, golf. We've talked about him with track. I think he had the long jump record for Butte County. So Keaton Archibald, really cool. Again, we had some injury issues this year. It's really cool to see him excelling as the school year comes to a conclusion. And then on the girls' side, Coach Landon gave us some cool information about Lauren Robson of Ryrie. She's been solid, leading the Ryrie girls golf team. She shot 84 today. And Sean, we've mentioned some golf in the fall. We were getting into some, high 60s, low 70s scores. Yeah. We saw plenty of 5A, 6A girls, though, shooting 90 and 80 and winning those games. So the fact that Lauren Robson shot an 84 from Ryrie 3A school, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in those low 80s, man, because you always see this. You get to the state tournament, and sometimes like a 90 wins, right?
Yeah.
Like,
the jitters come into play, and you get those higher scores.
It's windy, and maybe conditions aren't ideal. So just being solid throughout the season and being able to do it in hard times, it pays off in the end. We saw it a lot in the fall.
Yeah. So yeah, good job to 3A golf and especially those Ryrie kids, and then the Chalice girls winning today, and good luck to them as they go into district play May 5th. Folks, if you have any more golf news, we'd love to get it and shout out as many players as we can as their season is winding down and as they go into district play. Last thing, a few more things, then we'll get out of here, Sean. Track and field, we're not going to go over all of it, but Tiger Grizz, massive invitational this past weekend. There was we got to shout these guys out, a great article on the East Idaho News. They did a great recap of the invitational. Lots of PRs, awards, a few records where either they got close or they were broken. So go to East Idaho News, go to the sports page, look up the Tiger Grizz Invitational. Great article there from Alan. I want to say it's Alan Steele, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that our friend?
Yeah, Alan Steele. Yeah, that's kind of the Tiger Grizz. There's always PRs, records breaking. But I mean, the key of it is if you do well there, you usually do well at state. We have to shout out Zion Crockett of Skyline, came in second in the 100, but it was super close. The winning time from Makuna was 11.04 and Crockett's was 11.08. So I thought that was pretty incredible.
Yeah, it was. And Crockett's going to want that, isn't he? Like his competitive spirit, he's going to want that back. And it'll be close going into state. But yeah, good luck to Zion Crockett. Good job on that second place finish. So yeah, go to East Idaho News. That's where I'm guessing, Sean, that's where you got that info, right? From the article.
No, I just know that.
Okay, well, of course,
No.
I shouldn't have
assumed.
assumed.
I think it's on. I think that one's on there. That was kind of a big one that just stood out when I saw it. And
Yeah.
yes, it is mentioned there. Alan Steele did a great job covering East Idaho and all the, ton of times or
Yeah.
ton of teams. Like you had Boise teams. You had a bunch of different teams there. So the cream of the crop, if you will.
Definitely. I was talking to my wife last night actually, and sharing some of that information. She said, "Yeah, no, if you Tiger Grizz is kind of like you said, Sean. It's kind of your hinge point. If you're doing well at Tiger Grizz, that's going to lead to doing well at state." And I was sharing some of the times for the hurdles actually, and she said those hurdles they're right there. They're going to be ready for state. So, two witnesses. We got the truth. Tiger Grizz is the place, just like the Capital Classic, right? The Capital Invite, where if you're winning at Tiger Grizz, if you're winning the Capital Invite, you're going to be doing well at state. Before we get out of here, a couple items of news. We wanted to make sure everyone knew that Clayton Hall from Thunder Ridge football team, Sean, he was previously an assistant there. He's the new head coach of Shelley football. Going to be leading the charge there with that. We'll see if it's continue with the wing T offense, a lot of run heavy, or maybe they'll open it up and do more, do more spread. But really excited to see what Clayton Hall brings to the Shelley football team. You and I have been there a couple times. It's a lot of fun to do those games, and I really, really wish new coach Clayton Hall all the best in his new role. And then this was a big one, Sean. Sean Ellsworth, speaking of Sean's, new head boys basketball coach at Firth, replacing longtime head coach Scott Adams. And you know a lot about Coach Adams. Big deal for him to step down and let someone else take the reins. But Sean Ellsworth, he was a member of that Firth 2007 championship team, and he was coached by Scott Adams. It's kind of cool to pass the torch to a former player.
Yeah, I mean I think that's maybe the dream of any coach who's been in the driver's seat for a long time, is feeling comfortable letting go of the reins, and definitely to someone who understands the program like Sean does. And yeah, Scott Adams has been he's a East Idaho staple. He's going to stay on as first athletic director. I'm sure he'll still have some good tidbits of information to pass along the way.
Definitely.
But Firth, again, another one of those interesting places in East Idaho that produces just phenomenal athletes in all things, right? They're always really competitive and everything. They're kind of like a Rockland. Like I'd never been to Rockland before. Until this year, I kind of knew where it was, but they always have good stuff going on there. And Firth is just like that too. Always got a lot going on in there in these small East Idaho towns, athletic wise, man, just an incredible job.
Yeah. So like you said, Adams, yeah, he's going to stay on as the athletic director, but been there 19 years as the Firth head coach, over 2 stints. He won 7 state titles, which is amazing. And then last year they won the third place trophy at the state tournament. And then finally, last bit of news that we wanted to share, the Pocatello AD, Robert Parker. He's been around forever, Sean. He'll be retiring June 30th, closing a near 23-year career with the district. So congrats to Robert Parker on the retirement. And man, he made some great hires recently, especially in girls sports, right, Sean? As Pocatello has swept almost all girls sports this school year and into last year as well. But with Robert Parker leaving, got to hire somebody else. And they've announced Brandon Jackson as the new athletic director. He will take over July 1st as AD Parker is retiring June 30th. Of course, Brandon Jackson, he was at West J High School before moving to Hillcrest, where he spent 8 years teaching and coaching multiple sports. So looking forward to Brandon Jackson and his leadership here in East Idaho, but specifically at Pocatello.
Yeah, Robert Parker's been there forever. He knows and the board of directors for District 5 does all that stuff, which is something I don't think is talked about a lot, but there's a lot of legwork and making sure things get done in the district. So he's done things like that, and he's just a great guy to work with. And I know why he's retiring, Joel. I've seen him at sporting events, and his daughters he's got some grandkids.
Yeah, man.
Floating around. I think he's
cool.
I think he's ready to start enjoying his own family instead of everyone else's kids. That's what my mom said. When my mom retired from teaching after 43 years, she loves hanging out with her grandkids and is glad it's her kids. Like, it's her kids. Like, it's great having all the other kids and everything, but at some point it's nice just to have your own family around you, and that's all you have to worry about. So congrats to him. Brandon Jackson, he's stepping into a big role, I think, at Pocatello Thunder. A lot of changes. The principal also retiring. So the principal, longtime principal, Lisa Delanis, and Robert Parker retiring at the same time. And and then assistant principal Pat Lloyd from Century, who was the AD at Idaho Falls, he's moving over to Pocatello High School as well. So I guess Pat doesn't have to be the AD there.
Right.
Hopefully he watches this.
Yeah.
He'll get my joke. But a lot of new people in fancy desks at Pocatello High School, but not a lot. Probably not a lot of changes. Still going to be a strong programs throughout.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Sean, that's all the news. We've gone through every sport. Didn't hit track and field, but we did it. We actually did hit every sport tonight. We did a great job.
Yeah, and track and field districts are coming up next. Much everything districts is going to be rolling next week. Our District 5 tennis will be a week from today, Monday and Wednesday. District 6, I think, is Tuesday, Wednesday for both theirs, and 6A. So there's going to be District 5 track meet is Friday. I think just Friday at Century.
That sounds right.
So that'll be solid too, and we'll get a lot of results on those districts, and maybe keying a little more in the track and field. There's just so many things, and again, like we always say, if there's something really cool that we're missing in track and field, maybe a good thrower, maybe a javelin thrower, right? Something new. Shoot us an email, shoot us a message on Twitter or the X, and let us know, because there are way too many things going on at track. And I will tell you this one story, Joel, because I know you love my stories. But
I'm ready.
I was at Mountain View High School watching tennis this weekend, and then there's a track meet going on, and next to the tennis courts they got the javelin throwers, and then over the other side they got the people throwing discus and shot put, and then the tracks over there. Their track meets are crazy. I just wanted to give a big shout out to all the people that help make sure the track meet happens. And I think a lot of times it's other coaches go and help fill in at different places, but man, there's a lot of moving parts to those things. And it takes a lot to get it done, and you have hundreds of kids at every one. So shout out to the track coaches and volunteers and athletic departments that help get all those meets done during the course of the year.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. I didn't go to any track meets growing up. I was a swimmer, and I thought those were confusing and crazy, because swim meets are kind of similar, but swim meets are nothing compared to track meets. Like you say, you got your running events, you got your field events, and it's going constantly, right?
Yeah, it never stop. There's never a stop, and it's like the 200 meters up now, and it's just boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I've just been the mic guy on that. We do mic stuff semi-professionally, I guess you could say, is what we do. But it's go, 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 and then someone's got to be entering this stuff in the computer too, and because it's all on Athletic Net. So right. There's a lot going on, and timing systems. Although I think technology has helped out a little bit. Timing systems. It's a lot easier to do with some of the technology. So that is helpful. Yeah.
Shout out everyone who participates, who supports track and field here in East Idaho. You guys are the real heroes. And of course, we couldn't do it if we didn't have fun athletes to watch and to support in the process. This show brought to you by Ideal, state-sponsored tax advantage savings plan that helps families pay for the cost of college. With the rising costs of college, developing a savings plan is the first and most important step in helping families finance a college education. An Ideal 529 account can be used towards higher education, a trade school apprenticeship, or even those nasty loan repayments. For more information, go to idsavings.org. Sean, good luck with district play starting next week with tennis. We'll get as many results as we can moving forward. Don't forget to like and subscribe, everyone, to this Prepcast so you know when we drop a show. We'll try to drop next Monday, maybe later on in the week. Never mind, not next Monday, but whenever Sean is available, we will have our show. But do like and subscribe so you know when we do when we do go live. If you got a great story, a great result that you want to share, hit us up at SKane182 at E1 Educador. For Sean Kane, I'm Joel Richardson saying be excellent to each other. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.